G'day, I'm Tim Thompson and it's time for another midweek review. This time I'm having a look at something that I nearly didn't. This is the Netvue Bidfy feeder Lite. Basically it's a security camera in front of a bird feeder and in front of a perch that's got optical recognition of over 6,000 different types of bird species. It might be a good tool for those who want to know what impact they're having on their properties. So I'm going to unbox it, I'm going to have a look at it, I'm going to set it up and I'm going to give it a try. Alright, so in the box we've got our solar panel. That's good, not like the last security camera where they stiffed me for a solar panel. Got a strap to stick it on a post. I think I actually will use that because I'm going to move this thing around. We've got instructions. Got a handy little drilling pattern if we ever decide to permanently mount it. Bit of packaging. Got the little perch here for the birds to sit on. I think that's a bit of a gimmick. Got a hat. Bit more packaging. Bit more packaging. Not packaging. This is the security camera with protective film on it. Looks like you can tip it up and down. It's got an aerial and a charge port. Obviously that's where you plug in your solar panel. We've got a mounting bracket made out of metal. That's always a good thing. I like it when things are made out of metal. Oh, I'm no good at these child-proof boxes. And stuff. Cables, charging, wall mounts. And as I've learnt with a few of these products coming in from China recently, got to check all the way down. Sometimes they hide things underneath the bottom panel. No, nothing there. So pleasingly, the gear looks pretty good. Solid steel bracket, and that's always a dead giveaway. If the accessories and the mounting points they provide are good quality, usually the product's pretty good too. As always, there's the ubiquitous QR code now on the packaging to scan. You scan that, takes you straight to the app, you download it. Takes you about 27 seconds to set the app up. We will have to use a mobile phone, scan the camera later on, pair the two to the Wi-Fi in the house, and then we're off and going. I have actually had people have a go at me for throwing the instructions over my shoulder, but I'll explain why I do it. There's always videos like mine that you can watch again and again and again, like and subscribe people, but I also believe that well-made products these days pretty much show you how to use them. If we go into the Netvue app, open up the app and select the camera we want, it tells you what to do to pair and get this product going. You don't have to refer to some book and read questionable English. So all I'm going to do is follow along the instructions here, follow along the really well designed pictures and get this camera up and going in a jiffy. There's the sound. Okay, I've heard the sound. Now I have to plug this thing in. The camera is emitting a beeping sound. Ding dong, ding dong. Yeah, I think it's trying to talk to me. Old ding dong over here. I hear a beeping sound. Next step. Allow location tracking while using the app. Yes, sure. And now I've got to select the Wi-Fi for the camera. While I waited for the camera to charge up, I thought I'd get busy and make a simple mounting post so I didn't have to take the camera down and put it back up again every time I wanted to move it. That would be especially difficult with the solar panel. Now there's one thing about this camera, I don't think the colour scheme of duck egg blue and white is necessarily a natural choice. So we might do something about that. Let's start with the stand and work our way to the camera. Okay, I'm excited. I think I'm ready to go. I've got my camera mounted to the pole, I've got my solar panel mounted, and I've painted the hat a less offensive colour, and I decided to do the perch as well. All I should have to do now is put this little SD card into the top here. So fast forward 15 minutes and a few choice words that can't make it to the video, and I've had to pull the whole camera apart because when I put the card in the slot, the bracket for the SD card wasn't positioned exactly right and the card slipped down on the outside of the bracket and rattling around now somewhere inside the camera, and I've got to pull the whole damn thing apart just to get the card out and put it in its slot. Well, at least we get to see what's inside a security camera, I suppose. I've never pulled one apart before. On the bright side, all the little bits and pieces inside the camera look like they've been assembled really well with a bit of care to detail. Rubbery bit there, we've got some wires, we've got a bit there. Now I've just got to find, there we go. One SD card. Now I'm just going to put it back together and try not to get it wrong. Now I'm using good quality cards too, by the way. I don't want anyone saying that I'm using bad cards. I'm using a SanDisk 64 gig card, and it's got high definition video recording capacity. Alright, so now let's turn this on and try it out. SD card. Put your little birdie perch in. Put some seed in. Got sesame seeds and all sorts of stuff in there. Doesn't suit every bird. I don't know what we're going to do about honey eaters and things like that, and insectivorous birds, but this is a start, and because I'm putting it near a water source, it should pick up the birds that come to the water as well as the birds that perch and land in here. Okay, so I've had the Netvue birdie set up for just over a week, and I subscribed to their AI software to see what it performed like. So product one, I think we can start out with the bird feeder itself. The idea of the bird feeder, that was a big fat fail. The bird seed I put in here over a week ago is still here. I think one parrot landed on it once. It hasn't been popular at all. I was really lucky though. I set it up next to this water bowl, and I've had up to 90 birds visit this site every day in the middle of summer looking for water. So do you need the bird feeder? Absolutely not. In fact, I think it's more of a pain than a benefit, because particularly when you mount it, there's no mounting point for the solar panel, so it becomes quite tricky, and I had to make up a bracket to support both. You can just buy the Netvue birdie camera without the feeder assembly, and I think that would be the way to go, because that's junk. The Netvue birdie cam as a security camera, really good. It's got good night vision, it's got good color, and it's got reasonable definition. I think it's at a price point where you can only expect reasonable definition, but when you zoom in you can make out features. So I think whether it's being used for birds or as a security camera, you can make fairly good facial recognition out of it. The solar panels work quite well. It's kept the camera charged all the way through, even though this is in quite a shady position. So as a security camera setup, really good. The third thing, and the most obvious thing of course with this whole thing, is the AI. The software. Does it recognise birds? Bearing in mind that I'm in southern Australia, we have birds that aren't found in other parts of the world. I was a little bit cautious about this because I've been burnt by this sort of stuff in the past. You know, when you download apps that are supposed to identify plants and they get it 100% wrong. This has been exactly the same experience. It did recognise common magpie, so that was good, but a common blackbird was identified as a wren, or not at all on other occasions. It didn't manage to identify the magpie lark that visited this site 3 or 4 times a day once, and there were a number of other birds like the eastern rosella that comes and visits this site every single day that it couldn't recognise, and that's a really common bird in Australia. So I think, considering the fact that it didn't recognise most of the birds that visited this site, and the ones it did recognise it got wrong half the time, I cancelled my subscription straight away. I let it run for a week. I had really bad luck. It didn't recognise anything, and so I contacted Netvue. They were really good. Within an hour or two I got a full refund. I just said, look, I'm not happy with the quality of the AI software. So that's something to be aware of, is if you live in Australia and you're being sold products made in China that are made for the North American and European market, the AI software probably won't work. Now, I did ask them about that before I reviewed the camera, and they said, oh no, we've put on Australian species, it should be okay. We're still developing the software. So maybe in a year or so's time it might be different. So I hope that review has been a little bit harsh but honest. It is a good camera, great setup, terrible feeder, and pointless AI. Guys, if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and there's plenty more content like this and more on timthompson.ag. I'm going to go and plug the Netvue in as a security camera.